Listen, I'm going to be really clear about this Apex Legends video. If you want to be cute in the new Winter Express mode, you want to walk around, wear your new skin, your new costume, feel good about yourself, maybe get a couple of kills or so, really Baby Yoda stuff. Just be cute all over and have a good old jolly time, then don't watch this video. But if you want to dominate, okay, if you want to go out there and have the best weapons and the best chance of winning and take names while you are doing all those cute things, then I guess this is the video for you. Today we're going to go through all of the weapon loadouts in this new mode because surprisingly, Apex Legends has decided to keep the same weapons in the same loadout format for this event. However, they switch onto different characters each day. So what I'm going to do in this video is break down every single loadout and rank it from worst to best, so you know whatever day you're playing which loadout is the best that you should be keeping an eye on and which legend you may either want to play or stay far away from. If you've seen any of my other ranking and explaining videos, you know exactly what you're getting into, but if not, I'm going to go through this in pretty much a sequence, an order that's going to be very easy to follow and give you some good information along the way. For those still trying to learn the game, actually, this will provide you good info on hop-ups, the relative value of some of these guns. Now, the last gun list I did was at the beginning of Season 3, and a lot of things have actually changed, so this should give you a good bit of information alongside some fun gameplay and just overall a tier list for this new mode that I am having a blast in. What do you guys feel about it? I think it's actually really fun. All right, let's get into it. The worst loadout in this mode. Unfortunately, it's got to go to somebody, and this time it goes to the triple take P2020 hammer points. This loadout just has awkward written all over it, like high school social anxiety should be the name of this loadout. It just does not work well together, and part of the reason is that the triple take, a sniper, doesn't have a scope. Well, it has a one-time solo, but who am I kidding? That's not really a scope, right? Who uses that? Now, admittedly, the triple take is a good weapon. I like it as a close-range shotgun. It can be used that way, but it limits itself in this loadout by only being able to be used that way. Sniping isn't really viable with this weapon, considering that other longbows in this entire loadout list have actual 6 times, 8 times scopes, so you're really not going to be able to ping somebody from range. It's got an extended mag level 3, which is great, and it's got the precision choke, so you can make some nice plays. And don't get me wrong, the P2020 with hammer points and a light extended mag means you get some extra shots. You get that 1x hollow scope, which I like to take off, and you also get some good hammer points to really finish people off quickly if you do get a nice headshot. Ultimately, this is a close range loadout that unfortunately doesn't do the best at close range, although it can be viable. Overall, this is the worst in my opinion. Oh, and by the way, after I rank these, make sure to let me know what you think if you agree or disagree. Let's move on to number 2, or the second worst loadout in this game, Spitfire and the Mozambique. Some people say the Mozambique spits fire, but this fire that's being spit with the Mozambique ain't quite the same. Okay, never mind. I'm done with it. You got the joke. Spitfire, Mozambique, the Lifeline Jamaican accent. I'm done. It's early, but I wanted to say that this loadout doesn't quite do it for me, and the big problem, the big letdown, is the Mozambique. What's new? This loadout comes with a 2x scope on the Spitfire and a standard stock, meaning that you'll be able to swap to your Mozambique a little faster than if you didn't have one. The 2x scope is decent for this type of mode, where there are some range fights as well as some close range. So this is really just a pound down weapon. You just put some bullets on somebody, try to hold down a corner, maybe just finish them off with brute force. The problem is the Mozambique, which although it has a shotgun bolt, and not all shotguns in this mode do, you'll get a little bit of a faster shot, but it's just not as impactful because you don't have burst on your primary. Spitfire is long, consistent, decent damage, but it's not burst, and that's what a Mozambique needs to handle. Basically burst your opponent down after you've already done enough damage to basically break their shields. If a hammer point was on this, I would give this a lot more credit, but it's not. The only valuable thing about this is the digital threat, and in this mode, you can actually drop attachments and switch guns with your teammates. So if you have a Bangalore who's running a loadout and maybe she's got that R99 equipped today, you could give that digital threat to her, she pops her smoke, and you have a really deadly combo, but not great by itself. Moving into the third loadout we'll be talking about, and the number 9 on this list, it's the Hemlock and the Eva 8 combo. Now, the Hemlock is a pretty good weapon. I think it's quite underrated, and you see pros like CLG No Cocoa Puffs, who I really like, met him at Poland. He was talking about on his Twitter, I want to make this weapon meta, because he really believes in it, and a lot of pros do find themselves in the Hemlock camp. It doesn't mean that it's a bad choice, it's just not necessarily the straightforward choice, which is why this gets lumped into the middle of the pack. Although it does have some viability with its Eva 8 as the secondary with a blue shotgun bolt. This means it is going to fire quickly, fire fast and dangerously up close, and honestly, this could be a preferable choice to a double tap Eva without the bolt if you find yourself just in a little bit of a better rhythm when fighting in close quarters. All in all, this is a very average loadout, although it does perform a little bit better and give you some variety. The Hemlock doing well at close range and with some long range tapping of the single fire option. Although you will lose some of those shotgun fights when someone tries to break out their secondary because it's only got a standard stock, and some of these weapons actually have a high level 3 stock that's going to get that other secondary gun out a lot faster. Moving on to the number 8 best weapon loadout in this new Winter Express mode, it's the Havoc with the Turbocharger and the Wingman. Now, never sleep on a Havoc with the Turbocharger. Energy weapons melt people extremely quickly because of their high damage per bullet, and a Turbocharger makes those bullets come out even faster at the get-go, so you will do really well in duels. Although you do have a very slow strafe speed when you ADS, and this is something to be careful of, it makes you a little bit of a sitting duck. The light extended mag could be a little bit better, but it still makes this weapon very decent. The Wingman is where people are going to either love or hate this loadout. The Wingman with a level 2 extended mag for the heavy is really strong, but it does come with a hollow sight with a 1 to 2 variable. This means you can shoot at 1 times and with shift change it to 2 times. I've liked using this because it allows you to snipe a little bit with your Wingman in that 2 times position when you do need a little bit more range and the Havoc isn't doing it for you. Remember, if you would rather have that scope on the Havoc, you could take it off the Wingman, use the Wingman iron sights, and actually throw that onto the Havoc as well. So these are all things that you could do to make this loadout a bit better. Overall, the big strengths are the Turbocharger, the Havoc with that energy weapon, Turbocharger combo, and of course the Wingman with the level 2 heavy extended mag. Those are really good weapons. This is a good combo. Number 7, the Devotion with a gold barrel stabilizer and the longbow. Now, the Devotion has always been one of the deadliest weapons in Apex Legends when you hit your shots, and of course a gold barrel stabilizer makes it that much easier. The only thing you're worried about is no Turbocharger, because the downtime on starting it up in such close range frenetic fights makes it a bit of a question mark, especially if you're by yourself and your teammates aren't around. However, there are ways to get around it that I'll mention in just a second. The longbow, however, is one of the stronger weapons in this mode, and it's why I put this loadout at number 7 in the list. The 6 times scope isn't ideal. The 4 to 8 times on another loadout does make the longbow a bit better, but it's got a standard stock, meaning you could switch from the Devotion back to the longbow with an increased speed that most of these other loadouts don't have. Only one of those weapons typically have a stock. You'll have one on both of these, so that'll actually be a bit of an increase. The other thing about the longbow, in my opinion, is that if you want to take your longbow to the next level and really serve more of that sniper kind of role for your team, you could throw the gold barrel onto the longbow and just use the Devotion with a bit of a pray and spray if someone gets too close for comfort, but mostly you're operating with that long range, and that will make this weapon even more accurate from a distance. Also, if you have a buddy that loves the Wingman, hates the Havoc, he could pick up that Havoc Wingman combination, give you the Turbocharger for your Devotion, and now you are fully decked out with close range, lethality, and long range presence. This is a good combo for a team that's trying to work together to win. All right, speaking of swaps, it brings us to our number 6 weapon loadout in this list, and this swap is probably the best swap if you are a pro. If you are somebody who just says, give me a Wingman and watch, this is probably the best loadout for you, and it is the Prowler and the Wingman. Now, interestingly enough, this is the only weapon combo we've seen with an HCOG scope thus far, and by and large in Apex Legends, people like to use the 1 times HCOG scope with that little red dot in the middle for their Wingmans over any other scope. Maybe a 2 times HCOG if you're feeling dangerous. However, the thing that makes this Wingman combo a little less good is that it only has a level 1 extended mag, but here's how you solve that problem. You throw that level 2 extended mag onto the Wingman from the Prowler, and voila, you've got a level 2 extended mag with an HCOG Wingman, and if that's your go-to weapon, this is the best version of it for most players. The Prowler would be used as your secondary to just finish somebody up close, or maybe you run out of Wingman shots and you don't want to reload. The Prowler also comes with a stock, so if you use the Prowler initially, you could switch onto that Wingman a little bit faster as well to be able to finish off a target. This is ultimately the Wingman loadout, so if you want the best Wingman in the game, this is the loadout to use, and that's how to get it. And just because the Prowler doesn't have a select fire doesn't mean it can't get some work done, guys. Seriously, check it out. This is a decent loadout. You're going to want to use it, especially if you're a Wingman fan. All right, it's time for top 5. It's time to get into the 5 best weapon loadouts in this mode, and I'm excited to bring it to you. With the number 5 selection from my experience, it's the Flatline and the Eva 8 double tap. Now, are you guys old enough to remember the show Pimp My Ride from MTV back in the day? Well, this is like Pimp My Loadout. Flatline has gotten pimped out to the teeth. It's got a 2 times HCOG. It's got a level 2 extended heavy mag and a level 3 standard stock. My goodness, which means you're swippity swapping as fast as you can to what? an Eva 8 with a double tap. I mean, that means you are having so much burst potential in this loadout that in a very close range, kind of quick reset fight deathmatch style mode you are going to be king of the hill more often than not. The kicker, you have HCOGs on both of these weapons and a one-time if you prefer it for the Flatline on the Eva 8. A lot of people don't even run scopes on their shotguns, so you could take that off the Eva 8 completely, throw it onto your Flatline if you want a bit of extra range and, a little bit of close range, and if you need that extra range, you can go ahead and throw the 2x back on it, just keep it in your inventory. Overall, this is one of the better combos in the game, and although the other Flatline that you can play as does also have a level 2 extended mag, as far as the economy of fighting other players with their weapons, this is going to mean that the Flatline has so much damage in its loadout, in its magazine, that you essentially are going to be a serious threat with whoever you fight. If you can't get wins with this one, I don't know what else to say. All right, moving on to the number 4 best loadout in this game mode, the Winter Express. It's R301 with the Anvil receiver and the RE45. Now, the reason this loadout goes number 4 ahead of the Flatline, which I was just praising so much, and I'm still going to praise later on in this video, is the versatility of the R301 and the solid close range fighting of the RE45. Let me show you what I mean and how to make this loadout as good as possible. The R301 comes with the Anvil receiver, which means that if you are in a pinch, you can use this long range to kind of poke your opponents when they're heading towards the train. This helps a lot when you're trying to camp a spot or maybe camp one of those angles in one of the train cars, so that if they're trying to move to maybe contest the middle train car, you can get some really good damage and some strong headshot burst without having a full line of sight on them on the entire time you're fighting, which does make for a really efficient fight style. Also, you could take the level 2 extended mag from the RE45 and throw that into the R301 to make it an even better choice. Now, the only way this loadout can probably go wrong for you is if you're not a fan of 1x hollow scopes, because that's all these weapons have. However, where this weapon does go well and where this combo does get even better is with the thermites. In this type of mode where people are hiding in these train cars and there's very limited space to move forward or backwards, using a thermite can often be one of the best uses of your kind of ordinances that exist in this mode. So honestly, that actually puts it a little bit ahead in my opinion and leaves it at number 4. Let me know what you guys think about that one. All right, so moving on to number 3, the third best weapon loadout in this mode. And just want to say shout outs to everyone watching and paying attention here, listening, liking, commenting down below. Let me know what you guys think. I really appreciate you all in the rainstorm, and leave a subscribe if you want to stay tuned for more. Let's get into it. Again, the number 3 best weapon combo here is the longbow and the alternator. Now, when I look at this loadout, I think filet mignon, I think lobster tail, I think first class and champagne. I think this is one of the best loadouts in this mode, and this is a loadout that you'd be happy to get in Season 3 of Apex Legends, geared this way. Now, let's take a look at what it is. It's a longbow with a level 2 barrel stabilizer, a level 2 extended mag, and a 4 to 8 times epic level 3 scope, which means that you've got all the flexibility, almost a perfectly geared out longbow. So that long range is on lock. You should be beating everyone in the long range fight with this loadout. Also, when you get up close or you want some mid to close range, you've got an alternator with a level 3 extended light mag, which I believe is the only level 3 light mag, extended mag in any of these weapons. So you will have the only level 3 in this mode in that regard. You get that level 3 stock, so you can swap to your longbow in a pinch, and you also get a 1 to 2 times hollow scope, which gives you a little bit more range. But of course, the alternator hipfire is famous for being so dramatically good that you don't really have to worry about what type of scope you're wearing if you just get up close. It is a great dueling weapon, and a lot of pros have even said that an alternator can actually outclip an R99. I was talking to PK Hodsig about this if you miss any of your R99 shots, because the alternator's clip goes deep, especially now that it's got a level 3 light mag. This is one of my favorite weapon combos in this mode, and you can see why. Flexibility, solid consistency, amazing attachments, and 2 very good weapons in general. This is a no-brainer to pick up and use when you see it on your legend. Now, moving on to the number 2 best weapon loadout in the Winter Express mode. It's the G7 Scout and the R99. Now, what would happen if we took 2 Italian sports cars and pushed them together, like a Ferrari and a Lamborghini? We'd get a Ferrari-Ghini, a Lamborghini. Well, whatever we get, it'd have a really huge engine and go from 0 to 60 in about 0 seconds, because that's how freaking fast we would be. We'd be going back to the future with the power of that car, and we're pretty much doing the same thing with the power of this loadout. You're taking 2 of the best weapons in Apex Legends right now, as far as the Scout and the R99 in Season 3, and you're putting them in the same loadout together. Not only that, you're giving a Scout a 3 times scope, which is pretty much the perfect scope for a Scout, or maybe a 2 times. If you're really looking like a 4 to 8 times. It's a little bit long for a Scout in general, and you're giving it a level 2 sniper stock, meaning that you could swap quickly from the Scout back to that R99. And the stock also reduces aim drift, which is pretty important for the Scout. But back to the R99. The R99 with a 1 to 2 times holoscope and a barrel stabilizer is pretty much just your bread and butter weapon in this loadout, because it has been one of the best weapons, if not the best weapon in Apex Legends since the beginning, even in King's Canyon. This weapon annihilates people if you hit your shots, and it's just such a deadly thing to have running around with no other loadout having it, that it really makes this loadout very, very contentious. So whoever's legend has this R99, you are going to see a lot of them during the day. You've got long range, close range, and mid range on lock with 2 of the best weapons in Apex Legends. As of now, the G7 Scout and the R99 definitely hit number 2 in this list. But who's number 1? Alright, I just want to see if you're paying attention. It's the Flatline with Anvil receiver and the P2020 with hammer points. Wait, Rain Day, R99 G7 doesn't beat a Flatline P20. What is going on? Why have you done this to me? Listen, sometimes the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, meaning that sometimes when a combination of things comes together, it's better than any of those things individually by themselves. And the Flatline and the P2020 are a prime example of that with the attachments that they're given in this weapon loadout. That's why I put them at number 1. The Flatline is obviously a great weapon for mid-range and close range with the hip fire. It hits hard, its headshots hit even harder, and with a level 2 extended mag, you're competing with the other Flatline available in this weapon loadout list. You've got a standard stock to swap to the P20 quickly, and you've got an HCOG, the best scope that you'd want to have for this weapon. The thing that gives it that extra bit of oomph is the Anvil receiver, which works mid-range, close range, and long range to compete with having something like a longbow if you do need that extra range to poke somebody when you're in those hallway fights, or maybe a little bit more of an extended fight moving on to the Winter Express. The great part about this though is that with how hard the Flatline hits, it synergizes perfectly with the P2020 hammer points, because the hammer points really need you to get past that shield in order to do work. However, with the Flatline hitting so hard in general, that's no problem. And the P2020 here comes with a level 2 extended mag, so you can miss some shots and still be in a good spot to finish them. Pretty much this loadout does everything for you. Yes, you don't have that super long range, but if you play it right, you don't necessarily need it, and you have as much range as absolutely necessary to be dominant in this mode. Again, this is my list, and I want to know what you guys think about the best and worst loadouts in the new Winter Express mode, and how much you're enjoying or not enjoying it. I know some people have had some mixed opinions on it. I'd like to hear those in the comment section below. Thanks so much for tuning in, staying with me, leaving a like, subscribing, and of course, commenting down below your thoughts. And as always, my friends, I'm Rain Day, you're the Rainstorm. Never give up, never stop gaming, and I'll see you all next time.